Hi and welcome! Are you sure that your music is usable as stock music, background music, production music? Now today I would like to talk about this subject, and I would like to reassure you or make sure that you and your music is really usable and fits in the category of stock music, background music, or production music, and it can be really usable because I hope that you have already started, or if not, you will start to upload your music on different music licensing platforms as Audio Jungle, Pond5, 123RF, Motion Elements, Productiontrax.com or Luckstock.com. Now, if you are already uploading your music on these platforms and you have already a certain amount of music on these platforms, still you can arrive not to have your music licensed, your music sold. And today I want to rule out the fact that your music it's not selling because maybe your music hasn't has the chance to get in front of a client, to be heard, to be discovered. So we are ruling out that option. And we are talking more about the structure, the quality of your music. Is it really fitable as stock music, as background music, as production music? Now, what I realized in over these 8 months when I started to upload on these platforms my music, is that the clients generally on these platforms are video production companies or video production persons, those persons who are in need of production music, background music, stock music into their visual productions. The majority of the clients are searching for music that fits back in the background, meaning that they really need a music that where they can a music that sits perfectly in their production where there's a voiceover. So that's important really to bear in mind. Now, let's talk about why our music can be really unusable on these platforms. Even if clients, by searching, they stumble on your track and they start to listen, why they will not choose your track. So let's start with the first thing, why our track is not usable and why our track is not chosen to be licensed. But the first thing is the beginning of the track. So on the beginning. So beginning of a track. What that's supposed to mean, the beginning? Well, if you go on the platforms, and there are platforms who are explaining how production music should be, they are very clearly explaining that you should get into point starting from the beginning. So you don't have to make a very long beginning. 30 seconds, 1 minute, even 20 seconds beginning are way too long. Why? Because when clients are searching, I don't know, like yesterday I've been speaking about I don't know, hip hop music or rock music, and they will have a listings, so multiple tracks, and they start to listen the tracks. So they will start with the beginning. but they do not want to waste their time. I mean, they already do not have enough time to waste by listening a track that will start at 20 seconds or 30 seconds, or the beginning is long as 1 minute. So, I mean, just think about it. If they have to listen like 100 tracks, how many seconds do they have available to listen your track? So generally, they will start with the beginning, and the beginning, if it's not starting, then they will go automatically the second or the third track. So you have to be careful not to make it so long, the beginning. It really has to be short, and then you have to go straight to the point. So it's not like a music created for an artist where it can be a longer beginning. You have to go straight to the point. And now I'm taking the two extremes. Let's go and talk about second most important thing is the ending. The ending. Now the ending. We are not talking about if it's long or if it's short, but I know the most simple, most easier way to end the track is by fading out, of course. Fade out. So that's the rule number one. No fade out is completely interdiction. So no fade out. And let me just explain to you why. Because if you are doing a fade out, it's not a clear ending. And if they have to edit your tracks, and if they have to change the duration of your tracks, well, they cannot use the ending, because there's not a real ending. They cannot use the ending and put it in a different time of your track. For instance, the track is, I say, 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 20 seconds, yes? So this is the complete track, and this is the ending. Now, if it's a very good ending, like, I don't know, a crash and the last beat, and this is the ending, yes? Let's say this is the ending, okay? So they want to use just, I don't know, let's say 1 minute. They want to use the 1 minute. So they can take this ending and put here at 1 minute, and so they have the 1 minute cut. So they have a 1 minute cut, and it is possible they only want a 1 minute cut. So this is why ending is very important, and the ending has to be very clear, and it has to be very usable, meaning that an editor or a video production company, an editor has to be able very easily to take this ending part and put it where he wants. So why this is very important, ending. So not fade in for the beginning and not fade out at the ending. So that's a very important rule with the ending. The ending has to be very clear and usable. So as I explained it to you, if somebody wants to just take the ending part and should be able to put it wherever he wants inside of a track, and create this how he can create cuts and edits the way he wants. Now, let's talk about the third is, and this is very important also, instrumentation. Now, I was wondering a lot, and I just wanted to find out why, and this is the truth, why a guitar played or composed songs, or electronic but ambient with synth pads ambient songs are most used as stock music, background music, production music. And I couldn't realize it. I was always thinking why, but I have today the answer is because of instrumentation. So this is a very important thing, the instrumentation. So why, for example, a song cannot be usable, even though it's a good song. I mean, if you are listening, you are saying, well, it's a nice composition. But it's not usable as a stock music, as background music, as production music, because the instrumentation, it's just not good. If we are talking about background music, and as I told you, it has to fit in a project where are voiceovers, where where's voices. Then, if a song, an instrumental or a vocal song is just great, but because there are voiceovers, it just cannot be usable because the instrumental or the production music will interfere with the voices. I have a very funny story about this one. I had my song, one of my songs, licensed back in 2007, and because the market it was not so saturated, companies were just searching for songs, so many times they made the wrong choices. And so it was in this case also because my song had very rough instrumentation, had very many solo parts, instrumental solo parts. So when they put in the project where were voiceovers, they had to lower down the volume pretty much, meaning that finally the music, you couldn't hear the music, you could hear barely, you could hear just that solo instrument, and it was horrible, but they apparently loved it. So that's why I'm telling you, you have to be careful about instrumentation. And that's why, for example, a guitar composed song, a simple song with guitar riffs or licks that is very fluent, it's very usable because the song can sit perfectly behind a voiceover, and it's the same thing with the ambient music, where you have only pads and nothing that comes out from the mix, so that a voiceover can really sit on the music. So you have to really pay attention to that. So if you are using a lot of solo parts, solo instrumental parts in your music, that will make your tracks really unusable as a background music. And it's the same thing if you are creating vocal music. It's good to have, beside the vocal music, vocal composition, an instrumental one besides, so that if clients really love your composition, but they have a project where they have voiceovers, then they can use your instrumental version also. So this is the third thing that can make your tracks really unusable as a stock music, background music, production music. Now the fourth thing that can make your tracks really unusable as a stock music, background music, production music is the construction of your track. So here we have to really pay a little bit of attention, and the production music has to be really different as music created for an artist. And so the fourth is really the composition, the structure of a music. So the structure. So on the structure, what do I mean? As we were talking at the beginning, so your music, let's say this is the music, okay? Not long beginning. So it has to go directly on the point A. So the point A should be really, really, really close at the beginning. And now the main difference between a production music, and as I told you, a music for an artist, is that it has to gradually build up until the end. Now, gradually, what do I mean by gradually? Meaning that if you are starting here, let's say at the beginning, and it's very quiet, you cannot hear, like let's say in the point A, just suddenly go loud. It was quiet, and all suddenly you are going loud, and it's loud, and then quiet again, and then loud again, and then, I don't know, go quiet, and at the end loud again. Now this kind of composition will frighten I mean, it will never get sales and license as a production music, as a background music, because these companies could have I don't know, 1 minute, 30 seconds, a 2 minute, a 3 minute, let's say, production in which the story starts. It's like a storytelling. Story starts, then there are different moments, but they do really prefer a composition that is slowly, gradually, very, very nicely building up. So this is the thing that you have to bear in mind. Now, of course, this build up, why I'm telling you it has to be slowly, because you do not have to make dramatic changes. It's not that you do not have to make, you shouldn't make dramatic changes. Like in I don't know, after 50 seconds, to introduce something that is really harsh or that will really drastically change the build-up. No, it has to be slowly up building. So never drastically change the rhythm of the build-up. This is very important. And in the structure, but however, this is really important, and I will make it as a fifth, is really the break. No, I'm telling you, I consider a break when you are making a construction, and it's good to have a break, a moment where you have a pause, where if the track was building up, at one moment is just stop that build up. It can be a suspense if you want that way, and then restarts and build up even more. But the question, and this is how we are making the mistake many times, where do we put this break? There are people who are, it's good this build up, but they are putting at the beginning the break. So a company, if he wants to use the track and the beginning is good, after beginning, the company would like to have even more, and there comes a break. And this will really make the track unusable. There are people who are putting it in the middle. The break in the middle can be interesting also, but it's not recommended. However, where I would recommend to put it, right before the ending. So, in that case, you have really time to build up. You have the first build up, you take a little bit of break, and then until the end, you continue a little bit to build up. And this kind of strategy, I saw that many times it is used and it is licensed, this kind of structure, where you have already a part, the first part, yes, the first part, which one is already usable, and then you have a second part, which is usable also, if somebody wants really enter right in the development, or with a break, starting from a break and then going up. So this kind of structure is really usable in production music. So the break structure, so it's good to have a break in the track. You cannot just continually up build up. Even though there are tracks that you can do it, but not a 2-minute long track. The break we can consider it as a pause. So it's a small pause in your composition. It's a prediction what will be next, and after the pause or the break, it will continue to build up your track. Now the six, these are really the main things. So these 5 are the main things that makes, if it's not done correctly, it really makes a track unusable. But I would include 6 elements also. Now these are the fills. Now these are the fill-ups generally used in drum. So the drum fills, and in the same category, I would put the usage of like crashes. Many times when I'm creating a song, a composition for a library, but this is a special libraries where they do ask an exclusive contract, and they are asking many variation, alt mixes, without drums, without stems also. And many times I'm asking, so why do you need as much versions, as much mixes as I can give it to you? They are explaining that well, you do not know where maybe that crash, where you have put that crash, the production company, or in that moment where you have put the crash, they do not wish a crash. So what they can do? So it's better not to put really, because if there isn't a crash, they can put it eventually. So a production company, if it wants sound effects like crashes, they can include. Now fills is the same thing. Now the problem with the fills are that if the fills are very abrupted, I mean it's stopping that smooth build up. Well, the video editors will just not love it. I mean, maybe in their production where you have put that fill, you felt it that it should be there, but for them because of the image, they do not feel like it, and the image is not demanding that fill. So having that fill for them is a very bad thing. So they don't know what to do with it. So if there isn't any fill, then it's fine. So they can find a solution. When they want a fill, they can put in some effect and resolve the situation. But having something inside the track, they cannot modify. It's worse than not having and be forced for them to put something. So it's better from externally to put something than having something inside that you cannot change it. So I really would advise you not to use crash and fills. So because that really limits the way somebody can use your track, because maybe like for example the crash where you put is there a moment, a special moment, but maybe in the image, in the video production, there isn't a special moment that justifies that crash. So what can they do in that situation. They cannot just take out the crash. So, but if there isn't a crash, they can put a crash if they really want. So this is really what I saw at my tracks when they are used. As I told you, in special companies where they have all my stems. They do not use it, or my composition, it's not at all the way I imagine. There is no crash, no feel, no. So they are changing all the time drastically. So I really wouldn't recommend to put a lot of fills and crashes in the music that you decide to upload on Stockmusic platforms. So the essential things that makes a track really unusable are really the beginnings. So the beginning is definitely it's very important, because if it's a long a beginning, nobody wants a long beginning. And then the ending. So the rule number one is no fade in, no fade out. So it should be avoided the fades. Because if, as I told you at the ending, if is a fade out, then it's not usable. And generally companies tend to use the ending, so they shift the ending, because they will not use your track if it's a 2 minute, 2 minute 30, 2 minute 10 track. They will not use it entirely. Production, it's not a 2 minute 30 or a 2 minute. So it depends where they want to stop with your music. They will cut out the ending and put it there. Now the instrumentation, obviously try to do music that can very well building up, but not be so harsh. Imagine that the majority of the time, imagine that it will be used in a production where our voices, where are voiceovers, and then choose that way the instrumentation. If you are not sure, I don't know, record yourself, start reading something, a book, and record yourself reading a book, and then that sequence put in your composition. Put a channel, the first channel in your production, and put your voice on that channel. And then when you are creating the build up, the music, listen with your voice, with your voiceover, and see if it's really fitable, if you would use your music together with your voice. Because if it's not working for you, you can be pretty sure that it's not working for an ad agency or video production company also. And then the structure, as I told you, with the structure, try to create songs that are continuously building up, slowly building up, meaning that from the beginning until the end, there's a build up. Of course, if you cannot do 100% build up, then include a break, a pause. As I told you, the break, the pause, put toward the ending. Leave in the first part of the song the space to be usable, meaning that if there's a company that wants a 1 minute 1 minute part of your track, and in that 1 minute you should only have a build up with no pause, with no break. But then you can include the break, that pause, and from that continue the build up. And 6 I included that can make music non-usable is too much fills, crash, effects usage. Yes, one thing I almost forgot, the effects, special effects, sound effects. try not to use sound effects. I mean, if you are using sound effects like glitches, and because your composition is, I don't know, it's an electronic music, a glitch electronic music, that's different, or percussion. But using sound effects can again make a track really unusable. So I would really avoid that also. Because fills, crashes, sound effects, special effects can make a track non-usable. I mean, you do not know, we do not know what a company has in mind, what that visual it's all about, and if you put special things like fills, crashes, and special effects, you don't know if that special effect will fit with the visual. And if it doesn't fit, what can the video editor do with your track? I mean, if there isn't any fills, crashes, or special effects, he can add. But in a track where you have already those things, it cannot be taken out. So it's better not to have it. So this is what I really consider the 6 main things that makes a track unusable as stock music, background music, production music. Now, what are your opinion about this? Do you have other things also that can make a track non-usable? And we didn't spoke about quality mixing and the mastering. But more in structure. I am guessing that the mix and the mastering is top notch, and that's why I didn't speak about it. I was hoping that you already master it, the mixing and mastering, or if not, you are leaving that work to a professional to do for your tracks. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.